All right, Squirrel, you ready to learn about piecewise functions? Yes? She's just dead staring at me. I think she expected food and I'm not giving it to her. Well, I will give it to her eventually. Welcome to this beautiful Thursday. Um, it's wonderful day. Uh, yes, Squirrel, it is a wonderful day. I like today. Today seems like a good day. Well, I think it is. You're leaving? She's leaving. That makes sense. Okay, so let's take a look at what we should have done for homework before we start talking about what we're doing today. So for homework, we should have looked at this and we should have said absolute value. At which point we should see a big V somewhere. Now, a lot of you were doing the XY chart. Some of you were doing the calculator. You will need the calculator because that's going to be important. So if you do not have the calculator, message me so that I can help you out with that. Now we're going to do the absolute value of whatever x is for this one. So the absolute value of negative 3 is 3. The absolute value of negative 2 is 2. Absolute value of negative 1 is 1. Absolute value of 0 is 0. And absolute value of 1 is 1. So when we go to graph this, we've got negative 3, 3, and then 2, 1, 0, 1. And if you like, that's a beautiful classic V right there. Hasn't done any transformation. Is gorgeous. And then on the end points, we've got a bubbled in. Make sure you do a nice big bubble there. And for the other one, we've got an open bubble. So open bubble at 1. And then you go over, and let's take a look at this guy right here, X and Y. And we're going from 1 to 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we are 4. Does not matter what X is, it's always going to be 4. So 1 is going to be up at level 4. 2 is going to be up at level 4 all the way until 8. We're going to be all at level 4. And then for our endpoints, we've got closed and we've got a closed. So closed, big bubble, and closed. So that's what your first one should have looked like. Notice for that nice platform right there, that's what we call a linear or a line graph. So we've got a line right there and an absolute value. If we take a look at the next batch, we have x squared. X squared means quadratic. Quadratic. So we're going to look at a parabola. Better see a parabola coming through this. Negative 5, negative 4, negative 3, negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1. Okay. X squared minus 6. That's going to be tricky. So we take x squared, so that's negative 5 squared, and then minus 6. So that's 25 minus 6 is going to be, what was that, Squirrel? What did you just do? Oh, okay, fine, then be that way. Do you know what 25 minus 6 is? Well, then you shouldn't be interrupting me. 19, I hope. Okay, and then negative 4 squared minus 6 is going to be 16 minus 6 is 10. Negative 3 minus 6 is going to be 3. Good job, Squirrel. And then negative 2 squared minus 6 is, what did you say? Did you say 5? That's not true. Okay, that's 4 minus 6 is a negative 2. And then negative 1 squared minus 6, that's 1 minus 6 is -5. 0 squared minus 6 is going to be just a -6. And then 1 squared minus 6 brings us back up to -5. So let's take a look at this. We've got 1, -5. It's the one that I just did. And then -6, -5, -2, 3, 10, and then 19 is like way up here. So we're going to put that bubble like way up there. Notice, this is an absolute value. Absolute values look like these. This is not an absolute value. This is a parabola. Parabolas do not look like these. Parabolas look like U's, so make sure that looks like a nice soft U right there. None of that stupid parabola nonsense. Be an absolute value. Okay, and that's, somewhere around 19. That makes sense. Endpoints. Endpoints are open endpoints, so open endpoint over here, open endpoint over there. And then we go for our next one. X, Y, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, square root of 1 minus 1 minus 5. Well, 1 minus 1 is 0. Minus 5 is a -5. Okay. Square root of 2 minus 1 minus 5 is going to be, okay, the square root of 2 minus 1 minus 5 is a -4. Square root of 3 minus 1 minus 5. Okay, square root of 3, that's the square root of 2 minus 5. That's going to be an ugly decimal. Then you can either type in that ugly decimal or ignore it. This one, 4 minus 1 minus 5. Also going to be an ugly decimal. Try again. 5 minus 1 minus 5. Okay, 5 minus 1 is 4. Square root of 4 is 2. Minus 5 is going to be a -3. Okay, so let's graph what I've got. I've got 1 minus 5. Oh, hey, wait. That's where this guy is. And then this one's at 2, -4. And then this one's over here at -3. So we've got this guy right here. Notice this is a square root. Square root graphs look like square root symbols. And our endpoints, open and open. So we got an open right there. So we've got 2 overlapping endpoints at that beautiful point, which is what? 1, -5, 1, -5, 1, -5. So 2 overlapping endpoints right there. So they almost connect, but not quite. They're just sort of touching, but not. And that is how we do piecewise functions. Now, let's take a quick look at our mission for this week. Our mission was to do step functions, to do regular piecewise functions, to do scary piecewise functions, and guess what tomorrow is? Tomorrow's a test! Squirrel is super excited. She's been studying for a very long time. Yes, haven't you been studying? Yeah, she's been studying. She's been working really hard. She's very ready for this test. So let's take a look at what this test is going to entail. Well, of course it will entail piecewise functions. We just did the piecewise functions. So of course you're going to need to know the piecewise functions. What are you going to need to know about piecewise functions, Squirrel? You don't know? Piecewise functions. Important things to know about piecewise functions is how to graph them. You're also going to need to know that closed bubble on top of closed bubble is a no bueno. Is illegal. You're also probably going to need to know that the lines can't overlap. So I could not, for this guy, I know this absolute value goes from here to here. This guy can't start until this guy is done. I cannot have an absolute value and then a line underneath it. That's illegal. You need to only do one line at a time. You're going to need to know how to use your calculator and plug it into your calculator. That's with the graphing. That's not how you spell calculator. But I've been having issues spelling calculator recently. I don't know if you've noticed. It happens. All right. So of course you're going to need to know piecewise functions, but you're also going to need to know everything about transformations. You're going to need to know the rules of transformations. So when we've got f of x, and that translates to f of x plus 2, what does that mean? F of x minus 2, what does that mean? F of x plus 2 is a very different thing. F of x minus 2, also a very different thing. So this would be going up, this would be going down. Remember, the plus and the minus are always the opposite of the way you think they are. So the plus is going to the left, and the minus is going to the right. And then you're going to have to look at what happens if we've got a f of x, and what's happening with that over there. If we take a look at a nice little number line, it could be anywhere on this number line. If our a were something like a negative 2 f of x, that would mean we're flipping it. And the 2 makes it skinnier. Makes it skinny. If it were, that's how it works. So if we are at a negative 2, somewhere in there, that's how that works. If, for chance, we are over here and we've got just a regular 2 f of x, it's going to be the same f of x, but it's going to be skinnier. And then this part right in here would be like if I had a 1/2 f of x. 1/2 f of x means that it's going to be squished. It's going to be flatter, closer to that x-axis. So it's going to be squished. We talked about, that's not how you spell squished, but anyway, we talked about how it's getting fatter. All right, so you're going to need to know the rules of transformations, what the transformations look like. You're going to need to know piecewise functions. You're probably also going to want to look at the different types of functions. I don't know if you've noticed, but on the quiz that I've given you twice now, we have talked about the types of functions. If it looks like a line, that is called a linear graph. If it looks like a U or an N, that would be quadratic. A cubic function looks like a snake. That is a terrible looking snake. There we go. That, or it could be going like this. That would be cubic. Okay, after cubic, we've talked about absolute value. Those are our V's. Value. Okay. We've got quadratic, we've got cubic, we've got absolute value. Do some square roots. Remember, the square roots look like this or look like that. We never did ones look like that, though. We're just going like this. This is what a square root looks like. And then we've got our zombies. Zombies versus coronavirus right there. Where we start out nice and simple with just one person. We just shoot up to the stars. And that is, coronavirus is called exponential. So those are different types of functions that we have talked about in this unit, and those are the different things that the test will cover. Now the test will be exactly like the quiz was. It'll be on Edmodo. A lot of it will be multiple choice, but there will be some short answer response. There will be some maybe matching, I think. Squirrel, did I put true false on there? What do you mean you don't know? You were supposed to be paying attention. You were not paying attention? Okay, she wasn't paying attention. She doesn't know what's on the test. You are not getting anything out of her. She's also not going to be helpful on the test. Let me just say that. I've seen her test scores. They're not good. You don't want to be with Squirrel on the test. Not a partner test with Squirrel. You will be allowed to use your notes, of course, because it's at home. And if you have questions, you can, of course, message me. Do your best and good luck. I will see you tomorrow for your test. I will not be posting a video or anything. It will just be the test. So you can start, do that, and then we have survived our second week, maybe? Maybe. We're so close. We're so close I can taste it. Squirrel, can you taste it? Yeah? She wishes she were tasting treats. She would prefer treats to this taste, wouldn't you? Well, I'm sorry. You want treats? I can give you treats. Okay, later. She's just waving her tail at me. I think she's hungry. I think she's really ready for food. So I better go feed Squirrel. Good luck. If you need me, you know how to contact me. No, they're not allowed to contact you, Squirrel. Because you don't know the answers. You'll tell them the wrong thing. It's not okay. That's Squirrel.